Hey, good morning, foodies. Buenos dias. I'm here with my coffee on Easter Friday, thinking what I'm going to make for lunch or for dinner today. Because in my family, we have this tradition, even though we're not very Catholic or very traditional church-going people, because we're not at all. But we do have the tradition that we don't eat meat on Easter Friday. We never have. And today my parents are going to be probably cooking salted cod with in a kind of a stew with chickpeas and spinach, and it's really nice if you like that sort of thing. I mean, I adore salted cod, but Danny, who is with me in this quarantine, is not so into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my version of the great fish recipe in Britain, which is fish and chips. And I absolutely adore fish and chips. It's one of the things I most miss about not living in England, because there's not a good chippy here in Gran Canaria. So we have to make it ourselves. But I'm going to be experimenting a little bit, and I'm going to be showing you things that I've never done before, like with one of the most important elements, which is the chip, because the chip is not a French fry. It's a thick chip, and it has to be crunchy on the outside, and it has to be fluffy and velvety in the middle. That's what it's all about. I mean, the chip shop chip, you can't really recreate it at home, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try and do a version that I've been investigating about and that I've seen on the internet. And then I'm going to be doing the batter separately as well, which people can argue if you make it just before you're going to use it, or you do it a while before. I'm going to be doing it a while before, and I'm going to leave it in the fridge, because I believe batter, in order to be crispy and nice and cover the fish correctly, it needs to rest in the fridge, and it needs to be super cold. And then lastly, I'm going to be making my own tartar sauce, because I think fish and chips without tartar sauce doesn't make any sense. So I'll be making my own of that as well, and I'll be showing you everything. So let me finish my coffee and I'll get on with it. Have fun and enjoy. What we're going to make is a tartar sauce. This is my little version. I'm not going to make a lot because we're alone. And all we need is a few herbs. I'm using cilantro and a little bit of mint, which is going to give it a nice touch. A little bit of onion, which I'm going to chop all together finely. Some really beautiful capers, which is a must in my opinion. And we've got some cornichons. We're going to chop all this together very finely. I want to combine all these ingredients. This you can do as finely or as rough as you want. That really is up to you. I quite like it quite incorporated and finely chopped. So I'm really going to go for it. What we're doing by doing this is that we're already mixing all these ingredients, beautiful fresh ingredients, and combining all those flavors together. You could do this in a blender, I suppose, but I kind of like finding the chunks in my tartar sauce. Perfect. I'm actually quite happy with that. Right, perfect. That's beautiful. So I'm going to throw these into a little bowl. You can see here. Lovely. And we're going to go with our cornichons. Again, as finely or as rough as you want them. There's no real rule about this. You do what you feel you like. Okay, perfect. And here we go. That's lovely. With the gherkins, I mean, this is a must. I quite like more or less roughish. And here we go, lovely. We throw those in. Perfect. Now I'm going to wash my hands. Give me 1 second. Now we're going to add mayonnaise. I'm using bottled mayonnaise. You could make your own. I'll show you how to do it one day. It's actually quite simple to make. And we combine these ingredients together. That's lovely, actually. Now we're going to throw in a little bit more freshness by grating a little bit of the zest of a lemon. Again, not too much, because I'm only making this for myself, because Danny doesn't like it. I'm going to add a little bit more mayo for a bit extra creaminess. Perfect. That's lovely, actually. And then I'm going to half, well, not quite half, just a section of this lemon and throw in the lemon. Again, this is a really fresh, tarty sauce, as its name quite says. Let's taste. Lovely. Just a tiny bit of salt, pepper, and that's it. We're now going to leave this to rest and get all those flavors to combine. It'll be a lot better if you make this ahead and leave it to rest. So give it a go and enjoy. Right, next step is the batter. And the batter I do like to make ahead. I think it's important that it rests and that it's kept in the fridge in order to ferment or to get more volume, and also to get super cold, because the colder our batter, the crispier it will get. That's how tempura works. Anyway, here I have plain flour, which I'm going to throw in here. About a cupful, more or less. It's more than enough, or a bit more, sorry. Yeah, about a cup of plain flour. To that, I'm going to add a little bit of baking powder. About a teaspoon should be more than enough, which will help us with the rice. We're going to throw in salt, super important. And then we're going to season that with a little bit of cayenne, or a lot, that depends on your tastes. You don't have to use this if you don't want to. Perfect. And then just a little bit of cumin. This does two things. Flavors, wonderful flavor. Teaspoon is more than enough. And it'll give a beautiful color. Right, freshly ground pepper. And we've got our dry ingredients. We then grab a whisk. This beautiful beer, which has been taken out of the fridge, okay? Super important that it's cold. And here we go. Right. We want a nice batter consistency, not too thick, but sufficient that it coats the fish nicely without falling off. If you get some lumps, it doesn't matter. It's okay. As a matter of fact, tempura, the real tempura, is actually made, it's not overworked in order that it has lumps, because that's important for the batter. if you, okay. Perfect. We've got a really, really nice consistency. If you can see that, it coats the knife really beautifully. Sorry about that. And that's what we're looking for. Now it goes into the fridge. I'm going to cover it with a bit of cling film into the fridge and let it rest. Hey foodies, so here we go. We're going to start with the potato. Believe it or not, this chip is going to take quite a while to make because it's going to go through several processes in order to get the ideal chip. This, as I said, is an experiment. So let's see how we get on. As you can see, I've cut the potatoes in more or less regular battens. Okay, they're quite big. They're not super thick, but they are quite thick compared to what I usually do when I'm frying potatoes. And I've tried to cut them all the same shape. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to throw them in this water, which is salted, heavily salted, and I'm going to boil them. And I'm going to boil them till they are almost cooked. Yeah, till they're almost cooked. So we'll see. I'll get back to it. Right, these are just about cooked. Just about. You have to be very careful. There's a very thin line of overdoing it and not doing it enough, apparently. So these are cooked. They're nice and soft. And now what I want them is to dry them off a little bit. So I'm going to put them in this cooling rack. Very, very carefully. I'm going to separate them as much as possible. Can you see that they're breaking slightly? That's actually a really good thing. Because those little breaks, those little edges that are creating now, is where our crispiness is going to be penetrating once we start frying these bad boys. So, here we go. We've got our potatoes on a cooling rack, and now we need to extract as much water from them as possible. So they need to go into the fridge, and I'm going to put them in the fridge for at least an hour, and then we'll come back. We'll see. Foodies, our chips are now cooled down and they're semi-dry. Okay, they're quite fluffy and cooked, and now we're going to fry them for the first time. This is the first fry. We're going to fry them twice. So we've got our oil at 175, 180 degrees, and we're going to throw them in, and we're going to do them in 2 batches so we don't overcrowd. And there we go. Okay, so that was our second fry. We're now, I know this seems a bit complicated, but I'm quite optimistic about this result. We're now going to put them in the fridge again, one second time and last time, to dry them out a bit more, try and extract as much moisture from them as possible, and then we'll do a final fry to really crispen them up and give them this beautiful golden color. So I'm really excited. Right, we're gonna finish the chips. They're cooked, but now we want that crispiness and that color on the outside. I'm gonna do these in 2 batches, not to overcrowd the fryer. So bear in mind, these are coming out of the fridge, so they are cold. They're going to bring the temperature right down of the oil. So we want that oil pretty hot in order to really crispen up these chips. So here we go. Let's see. So foodies, we've come to the fish part, probably the most important. And for this occasion, I've got this beautiful sea bream, which has been filleted for me by my fishmonger. Traditionally, the preferred fish for this is hake, obviously, a bit of cod, but I couldn't find any of the 2 fresh in my fishmonger, and this is the best fish that I actually found. And why not give it a go? Always try new things. Traditionally, also things like tuna fish or red bluefish are not the ideal thing, because they will dry out and it won't be quite the same. Although I do believe there are certain species that can be used for this dish, like mai, for example. I think they will do really, really well in batter. But anyway, back to the fish. I got a bit of sea bream. I'm going to lightly salt it, just very lightly, because my flour for the batter is already seasoned. So just slightly, so it's not completely tasteless. And I'm going to add just a dab just a little bit of flour. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want my my batter to stick perfectly all around the fish. And the only way you're going to achieve this is by slightly flouring your fish. Another thing to take into account, which I had to do just before this video, is I had to pin bone my fish. And that means going through the middle of the fillet with these and taking out the bones. We don't want to find bones when we're eating fish and chips, as you probably know. I will never be 100% sure that we haven't eliminated all the bones, or we haven't taken all the bones, but I have tried and try and avoid unnecessary surprises when I'm eating my fish. Anyways, we've slightly covered these in flour. The reason, again, being so our batter will hold on. So I'm gonna get on and fry these, assemble the dish, and we'll give it a try. See how we get on. Right, next is the fish. Here's a beautiful batter which has been resting in the fridge. It's got a beautiful color. Our fish goes in, and make sure you cover it very, very well. You use a fork if you like, or your fingers, up to you. But do be careful when you put it in the oil. Please, please, please be super careful. The oil is piping hot, and always, always throw the fish against you, never towards you. And throw, I mean place carefully. So in it goes, and let's see how that turns out. So foodies, here we have it. Finished fish chips. Has to be served in newspaper, so I've been as most traditional as I possibly can. Take a look at that beautiful thing. It is crispy, and it smells gorgeous. The first thing I want to test out, obviously, are these wonderful chips. They are crispy, they are super fluffy inside. Is it worth doing the hassle? Well, the thing is, it's created all these nuts and crannies. I don't know if you heard that, but it's really crispy, yet fluffy in the inside. I'm gonna thank Heston for that, because that's his recipe. So, yeah, it's worth it. If you have the time, definitely worth it. And the fish, let's have a look. Also, super crispy. As you can hear it, and beautifully, beautifully cooked. That is amazing. So, bit of sauce, I think. You know what? I really like that. I'm gonna do that again. If anything I can complain about, maybe my batter is not as thick or as fluffy as I would have liked it, but the rest is absolutely wonderful. Anyway, foodies, happy Easter. Hope you have a lovely time with your families, if you can be with them. Obviously, stay safe, like the video please, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Happy Easter bunnies, and I'll see you soon, foodies. Take care, bye.